Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Party Makes Things Worse Song of the Reliquary, episode 18? I think
Brett.
it's episode 8, episode 18, Twilight. We're very excited to get started jumping back into the adventure. Today we are going to be starting with a big ol' recap. But first, let's go around and do character facts so that those didn't end up, too buried, as it were. So let's all go around the horn here and see who's got a fact.
All right. So Hilver, when he's making his lunch rotations for the researchers, his philosophy is making soup from the ground up. So when he's making all the vegetable soups, he'll start with the roots of various plants and then add the stems into the cooking, then go to the leaves, and then finally add the various fruits of the plants. And it's changes the cooking process compared to a lot of the recipes that they're used to, and it kind of causes some tension because they're a little frustrated that it's so regimental with the progression, but he's follows that almost religiously every time he makes soup.
It's fun to add 25 minutes to the start of every recipe because you have to parboil some tubers and everybody's just could you just do it quick? And you're like, this is quick. And they're like, Gotcha, for sure. You come from a plane where people don't age. You're like, dinner's gonna be ready in 3 days. All right, very good. Who's up next?
I'll take the next one. Harold always has 50 gold pieces on him. That is to give to the homeless, children that are looking for a meal. Beej, when Beej knocks on the door and says, I need 20 gold right now, etc. And it's always 50 because there's been times where somebody's like, my wagon rotted out from underneath me. And Harold's like, well, I don't have enough gold on me. He felt terrible. So he always carries enough to cover some pretty meaningful expenses when the need arises. It does not help his peers' belief that he's taken a vow of poverty, which again is not true. It is not true. He just gives it all away.
Harold's really on that Harold's on that late stage Dave Ramsey podcast where he's like, I own my house. What am I gonna, my 401k maxed out? I'm donating. I'm donating. All right, who's up next? As I smack my microphone, apologies.
I'll go.
All right.
So this is one of the first times Lemon was ever called a lemon. It was when he was a kid. Glint's Lake. It's Glint's Lake, yeah.
Glint's Wake.
Wake. The L's and W's.
It's a toughie.
Glint's Wake. Yes. So because Glint's Wake is always on the bombardment, I say always. Sometimes there's a little reprieve. But when times are really tough and the bombardment's really coming down, everyone tries to get together to just hold out. And the way we do that, along with what's what I'm saying with soup, we hold group soup. And there's one time that we did not have enough soup, and Lemon thought, you know what? I've heard of stone soup. We're gonna make shell soup. Everyone's calling Lemon an idiot, and he finally makes the soup and has a lemon of a soup. But Glint heard of a boy making this insane soup and thought, you know what? I like it.
Here we go.
And Glint bestowed a gift upon the soup and made it edible.
Edible. Not tasty, but edible.
No, it wasn't tasty, but it was good enough.
Added some nutritional density to it. All right, I got it. All right, time for Beach Fact.
Beach here. As this may or may not be, towards the end, I will let everyone in on a sort of private conversation that happened between Harold and Beach. Privately, Beach has finally confessed why he is here trying to raise money to get himself out of debt. And the reason for that is because this is a past debt from years and years ago. Beach forgot about it. He's got a lot going on. But the last time Beej and Beej, stay with me,
Yes.
were at Beach's parents' house,
course.
visiting, right, one of those horrible holidays, whatever, they accidentally swapped necklaces. They swapped the necklace that Beach always wears. On accident, of course.
Of course.
And neither of them realized. However, when the debt came due, it had been so long, right? Beach forgot about this. That when they were trying to capture Beach, they remembered his emblem, his necklace.
No.
And so unfortunately, they did capture the wrong Beach.
No.
And they're holding him hostage until the debt is paid.
They scooped the wrong beach. No.
So they scooped the wrong beach. So yeah, I gotta go take care of that.
All right, a powerful motivator. Certainly paints Beige not leaving in a more in a more logical light. Fantastic. Also, scooped the wrong Beige. Check out our merch store once we open it. Scoop the wrong Beige is going to be up there, right next to Schlorply. And I survived the witch's cabin, and all I got was this stupid T-shirt. We got a couple of things. We got a couple of designs cooking. It's gonna be great. All right, and I think with that, we're ready to get started. And unfortunately, because we are approaching the finale here, it is time for a great big old recap. So everybody, sit tight and get ready as I try my best to recap the most important sort of events on a legal pad. This ended up being the doozy end of about 4 pages of notes. I was like, woo. But we're going to run through, and I think we're going to be fine. We were introduced to our cast of characters as they were headed out of the great city of Bastion on a grand caravan. We met Harold, a sentinel of Bastion questing out to save their best friend, Beej, the aforementioned best friend, who is deep in debt looking to pay off a cool 200,000 gold pieces, Hilver, a guardian from the post-mortem plane of Cradle seeking the secrets of divinity, Lemon, a sharpshooter from Glint's Wake looking to protect his home with ancient magic, and Bartholomew, a train-hopping con man looking to fill his pockets. Bartholomew is working and is not available this evening. This brave band joined a grand caravan heading into the heart of the Tomb Desert, a dead land killed in an ancient war between the Lophyllum Empire and the Deathwoken Supremacy. On the way, they befriended the crew of a sky ship called the Storm's Call, including the dexterous Calroy Elmroot, an elf from another plane. The gang became local heroes by fighting off the legendary dragon of the Tomb Desert, and soon after they arrived at their destination. Carved into the wall of a canyon, conjured in an age long past, lies the Reliquary, a long abandoned underground city believed sealed and impregnable that your massive group went in an effort to explore before the Lophyllum Empire would arrive and kill you all for daring to even enter the desert. It was home to a trio of seemingly ageless mage hunters called the Vemeral, assassins and warriors of the old Deathwoken Primacy. In short order, you managed to ford ahead and sneak in before any other groups could. End of our sort of first chapter. After you snuck in through a maintenance area, the party used the chaos of the other caravanners to forge ahead into the palatial interior of this desert stronghold. They soon made a trio of allies when they encountered a deadly denizen of the Reliquary beyond the humanoid abominations called the Votai that they had met thus far. This hulking iron prison was called a Bastille, and once they defeated it, they broke into its chest to find a wizard of the ancient world named Zariak the Seer. In the same encounter, they made close friends of the dragonborn Corvain Vemelide and the inventor Fitzpatrick Mendeldrop, I believe is his last name. Forging deeper, the party managed to find a safe haven in a secluded temple to some forgotten gods deep in the atrium of the Reliquary below ground. With the rest of the caravan arrived and the army of abominations called the Votai pushed into underground buildings and catacombs, the party continued on, securing a bounty on a particular Votai of great power called the Witch. The party used a connection with their ally John Morris to get past the vicious and all-around unscrupulous Viscount Faraday Malaran. The party soon encountered a surgery of horrors and abominations, including a massive sickly green crystal and a modified and tormented Calroy Elmroot. Calroy had been being prepared as a vessel for one of the Vemeral, the archer Perona Vane. After slaying the witch, The party was thrown into conflict with the Viscount, who they promptly killed with a mix of clever wordplay and deadly tactics. With his death, the Reliquary could finally be explored a little bit more openly and easily by all of those involved. During that time, we also had an interlude with Surratt and the Little Freaks. In the background of that fight, we met a group of adventurers who were working for the Emerald Tower, specifically its master, the Great Green Dragon, Umroth. They delved into another section of the Reliquary called the Forge, and found other Votai with different construction, making arms and armor for what could only be a great and terrible army. Deeper in, they ran afoul of another Bastille, guarding another modified explorer, much like Calroy, clearly some effort to bring another of the Vemeril back. The party surged ahead until Surratt, in a desperate moment, found and attuned to the hammer of Tagor Brightfall. Thanks to an inexplicable piece of luck, Surratt managed to retain their sense of self, attuned to the hammer, and is now loose in this area, attuned to it, trying to find some hint at what they need to do to not be completely taken over by this massive, powerful sort of personality that is inside the hammer. Ages of time and that sort of calcifying seems to have made whoever is inside it almost an indestructible force of will. And so we saw in a previous sort of cutaway that Surratt is sleepless, not being able to rest for fear that this other presence will take them over. End of Chapter 2. Chapter 3, which we just finished. With the Viscount dead, the party turned to investigation and planning. They formed an alliance with the mages of Remgastelon and investigated some of their new findings. The result was a few key pieces of information. 1. Zariak was not the only being of the old world imprisoned in a Bastille. 2. The Vemeril had been hopping bodies for centuries using their weapons, but normally only people that they had managed to kind of inundate with the song, rather than the seemingly loose version they are able to do here. Number 3, something called the Chorus had been created down here before everything fell away and was locked. And something about you all arriving proved to the witch that they had been successful. You would have discovered that from her notes. And number 4, a being called the Piper is at the heart of all of this blood and madness. Hungry for answers, the party organized a great charge into the depths of the facility with their many allies in support. They marched from upper layers all the way down to the cathedral at the heart of the Reliquary, fighting off legions of Votai on the way. Upon arriving below, the party fought another Bastille and freed from within the fire giant Goliath Kalan-Ur, a cleric to a vanished god who seems to still have their powers, only to then immediately need to delve even deeper into the cathedral in pursuit of L43 Acquisitions, the automaton that they had made allies with. They arrived just in time to discover that one of the other people they had encountered, Calhoun Miller, had foolishly attuned to the sword of Relgar Orain and been taken over by it. You managed to kill Calhoun Miller and secure the weapon of Relgar Orain, but unfortunately not before L43 Acquisitions was dispatched by a powerful steel wind strike. With 2 of the 3 Vemeril weapons in hand, the party managed to escape as they were being pursued by the final Bastille and an army of Votai who had been made frail by their eons of life, but no less devoted. Now only a few open threads remain, and it is time for our party, I assume, to do the last of their planning and decide what threads need to be resolved before you all head home. And that is where we are going to pick up. The party has just whipped around a corner out of the massive stone doorway that led down into the cathedral. A unimaginable number of basic fundamental level 1 and cantrip spells blast over the tops of your heads, striking into the waves upon waves of these Votai that were ready to surge forward, throwing their frail, less sort of combat-ready forms at you all to reclaim their master's weapons, which you know to them is as good as a kidnapping, but they have been held back by the assembled mages of Remgastelon with their magic, and the various firings of your other allies, including the crew of the Storm's Call. as that sound begins to die down and Orak Soldan stops calling for continued waves of firing from the mages of Remgastelon forwards, eventually the Votai fully retreat, and there is just a breath of space. And now I'm going to give you a fun D&D fact, because obviously I don't have a character fact. So in real life, a horse, a fast racehorse's movement speed, so in Dungeons & Dragons it's 60 feet is their movement speed. In order to capture the speed of a real racehorse, their speed on a round would need to be 190 feet.
Wow.
Horses are made violently less fast by the game Dungeons & Dragons, and that's just a fun little discovery I made today. We had said last time that our horse was running like 12 miles an hour, and I was like, that was impressive. And then I looked up how fast racehorses can run, and the answer is up to 40 miles an hour. Racehorses, for some reason, in the world of the Forgotten Realms prospect, every D&D world, all horses are about an eighth as slow as they are in our own world, so draw what
Nerf our
conclusions you
horses.
need from that, because it makes no sense. As
Are
you
there
all,
different? Oh, are there different like horse like builds for like long distance travel compared to like the shorter term of like a racehorse going around a track maybe?
from my findings, still entirely too slow. They are all too slow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they really nerf horse speed, which I think is a hilarious thing for somebody to do, to be like, we just gotta nerf horses all across the board, guys. So, as you all tumble out of those doorways, shots firing over your heads, what do you do right after Michael says something about horses?
I'm curious if they think that their world was too small and like travel would be just non-existent. if they
That
did
probably
that.
is the problem is that in real life history, a horse can get you across a country in like 2 days, and they were like, well, we don't want the players to be able to do that, and so they shot the Nerf laser at horses, comma, in general.
Another question: has horse speeds always been like that since like original D&D?
Let's write that down for a short for the YouTube channel and move on. I don't know the
All right.
answer, but I bet there is one out there somewhere. So,
Cool.
for yet a third time, you all tumble out of the way, a bunch of spells go over your head, they stop yelling a bunch of stuff, and then I ask you, what do you do?
Lie there panting.
All right, Lemon is on the ground, heavily panting, near a level of exhaustion from being pulled up onto a horse after sprinting, thrown back off that horse, continuing to run, and now somehow managing to survive the entire absolutely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs adventure.
Yeah, Maroon's probably or Hilver's just like splat out like a star on the ground, just like taking in like deep, heavy breaths, letting like the whole like energy kind of like of the breath that he can like finally take like without having to be moving for this time.
And you
And it's just, like,
unravel,
filled-
you
yeah.
let Beej out of the headlock.
Yeah. There you go. Ah. Just okay, guys. I think we're safer for now.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. Thanks for blowing all them up. That was a close one. It was really bad. And I look back at my big horse that makes no sense, and I make him disappear.
He disappears into dust, a look
He'll be
of
back.
confident awareness on the upper half of his face. Orak Soldan and Sable, the large Kantanak that helps them through this place safely, sort of makes their way up quickly and goes, I do not see. I take it L43 did not make it through, as it were.
Oh. Well, in a way, his body made it through. He got destroyed, but he like disappeared magically. So probably he's all right.
No.
The automaton of the railway always vanish upon being destroyed. I don't know if they are rebuilt when they get where they're going. You would need to speak to Langston McCree, and if you manage that, let me know how.
Yeah. So other than that, it was close. It was close. Other than that, it went well. We mission accomplished.
Yes?
So yeah, mission accomplished. How about here? Any updates? Anything crazy going on?
Well, and he points up, and you can see a couple of areas where there is some tension. He points to the forge, one of the places that you ran by in front of that was still relatively defended, and you can see that there are sort of slapdash kind of barriers have been put in place by the people there. They have managed to sort of pen in some of the outside. The forge met extremely heavy resistance, but thankfully there doesn't seem to be much in there beyond what was already present. One very powerful member of the Votai emerged and was dispatched relatively briefly. I don't know, they were very augmented, but didn't seem to be... We at first feared it was one of the Vemeral, as you said, but didn't seem so. And then they keep pointing. They describe a couple of more areas where the fighting is still going on. These creatures had been planning to sort of stay to the back, using guerrilla tactics to move around the outside of groups. You forced them into open conflict, which thankfully they don't seem to have been very ready for. They're mostly like assassins and ranged fighters made to corner people and kill them there. This kind of full frontal assault, they were very poorly set up for. They gesture to a few areas where they pushed in with no issue, and they say, the catacombs that stretch from the top of the left-hand side all the way down, we've taken.
Any eyes on a big hammer, potentially?
No reports yet. There are a few buildings we simply haven't pushed into because they weren't on the way. And you see, they point to a few. You see one, there is that sort of tall wizard's tower-looking structure, is outside of the arc. You would need to, like, go up and across away, so you didn't go there. And they point to a lot of the tunnels that just sort of go off. One of them has that sort of unearthly green coming out of it. That is the one that's the music sort of spilled out of earlier. They go, we haven't been able to push into the tower because it wasn't on the way, and no one can get close to the tunnel. One of us tried, and you see that he points, and you see that there is a mage holding their hands out, and another one is like head forward, and you see there is blood coming out of both of their ears. And the other mage is just like holding their hands in front of it, looks back at them, and just like shakes their head no, and goes back to focusing on whatever they're trying to do to repair this mage's hearing. They tried to get too close, and the song continued to swell until eventually they didn't even succumb to any sort of charm. They just couldn't keep going. They passed out.
Well, that's one. That's definitely something we got to check out. I'm going to be so honest with you. We're exhausted. I think we got to go. We got to lay down for a bit.
I had imagined so.
We're gonna go topside. Our bags are full, so we're gonna drop some stuff off at the ship. Sleep for a solid 6. But if you hear anything about the hammer, if any headway gets made on that tunnel, come back up and or send somebody up and I'll talk to them. But yeah, we're going to bed.
Before we go take our slumber, two questions. Ebige, your silence. Can you move that, or is that set?
My what?
You're silent. Your spell that makes a zone we can't hear.
Can you like
bang
move
bangs.
it with your as a part of casting?
Yeah.
Can you move that? You can. All right. How long does that spell last?
I think a minute.
It's a minute, 10 minutes, or an hour. It's basically how spells work in my mind.
So a minute, but you could
1 minute.
cast it centered on yourself and run for a minute. You know what I mean? And sort of move it along
10
with
minutes.
you.
And
10
then I just
minutes?
cast it again.
Wow,
Perfect.
so it's 10 minutes, not 1.
It's
You
10
move
minutes.
that.
Awesome.
A
Okay,
roleplay
yeah.
spell.
So you can
Great.
just really cook that one for a while.
All right. I got an idea for the tunnel.
That's good.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah.
Silence coming in clutch for a 3rd time.
I can't. DMs out there, be careful of silence. Silence will goof you. If you make like a whole thing themed around an evil song, be so careful of the
sudden.
silence spell. All right.
And then second question. Who is friends with Calhoun?
Yeah, anybody friends with
Calhoun.
Calhoun Miller? He was an old man. He had a cannon.
You see Orax starts like
Old coot.
looking around. The
Yeah.
DM realizes he didn't get any dice out for this D&D show that we're doing right now.
The old coot, respectfully.
Old coot, comma, respectful. You see a couple of people, Calhoun, and it sort of spills out, and then one of them goes, wait. Like Calhoun Miller?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
That one.
Oh!
The one that wrote the books and stuff.
Yeah, and you see another, it's like a couple more voices chime in, and eventually one of the mages of Rimgastalon comes forward and goes, I had spoken to Calhoun. You see this like bright blue dragonborn, so another that is connected to some lineage or earned some favor. Calhoun, yes, I had traveled with him briefly. I was injured and hitched a ride on his car. We spoke somewhat. He seemed... Why?
I was just trying to get a little info on him. When he was seen last.
I was injured in the initial bout. He threw me on the back of his car. We made our way out, and so maybe a day ago was the last time that I saw him. He was a nice fellow, helped me out. He said he was here looking for one last book.
A book?
A book.
Yeah,
Oh
what
yes,
he found.
Calhoun Miller. And you see one of the other mages pulls a Calhoun Miller adventure novel out of his bag, and you see that it is like a Hardy Boys style like adventure book. And he goes, Calhoun Miller, this is book 54. And he goes, yes, Calhoun was in wrote Wind Out Adventures and wrote about them, and that was
Okay.
said he was here to write his last book.
All right. That old idiot.
Respectfully.
Respectfully. He touched one of the weapons
Yeah, pick it
Orax,
up.
that we told everyone not to touch.
Is he- but did you secure the weapon?
Yes, we secured the weapon. We dealt with Miller.
Orax looks at the blue dragonborn and goes, forget this conversation, walk away. And the blue dragonborn, all right, turns and just like strolls off into the crowd. And he goes, but you secured it.
Yes,
All right, so two out of the three.
we got the sword and shield, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they're
Yes.
both in
Okay.
that bag.
So two
Yes.
out of the three have been secured. Okay. So we almost don't need to warn people anymore.
Yeah. They should
Sure.
probably keep their distance from the weapons themselves, because like even just like after dispatching him, it kind of called forth to us to pick it up.
Oh yeah,
so-
it got real close. I got real close to picking it up. Just putting that out there.
You've
I think it has
heard
to do with
the
that
song.
tunnel. That's why I said we got to go do the tunnel thing pretty soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Where do you have it now?
Stashed.
Yeah.
It's in our bags.
Okay.
Safe.
Looks at the bag of holding and goes, that should work, right?
It's extra planar.
Yeah. It's fine.
Best thing we got at the moment.
You see Orax is thinking some Arcana plus 12 thoughts. Orax's brow is a little knit. Orax is starting to be like, would locate object point to the bag? Like, Orax is starting to really do some logistical thinking that you all hadn't quite tuned into yet. And goes, all right, well, by all means, go to your camp, take sleep, make your way up top. We'll hold here and hold the other positions as well as we can for as long as we can. And I assume most of them we'll be able to hold almost indefinitely. The only problem area might be the forge, but we can back that up in good time. All right.
All right.
And
Good plan.
Orax begins to turn around and issue new commands. And you see that very quickly. As much as the Mages of Rimgastalon are part of an academic institution, they are also a wing of the army of the Federation of Elders, and so quickly begin to like respond to commands and move to other areas of this place, sort of being able to vacillate between their more scholarly and more militaristic modes very quickly. What are you all up
Lemon, I'm not gonna lie. As we're walking up, we're going to the airship, so
Yeah.
we can drop some stuff up. Lemon, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was thinking, I didn't think about the silence spell, which is crazy because it come in handy so many times. I was like, can I pierce my eardrums so I could just get through and not hear? I was thinking about disabling myself to get through the tunnel, so I really appreciate
Sort of a
the
permanent
call out of
deafen.
silence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hearing's a little important. We don't
Little,
wanna get
I
rid of
figure
that.
after we get out of here, I'll pay a cleric some money and they'd fix it up. But
Yeah,
that's
but
just
even
the
during
best.
that fight, like if I feel like there's gonna be a fight at the end of that tunnel, but you
Yeah,
fight without hearing. And I've never done it, but I would think it'd be tough. You know what? I think I fight half death
Lemon's, I was
usually.
gonna say, Lemon has probably done a couple of the fights down here, hearing nothing but like in his ears for the entire time.
No, yeah.
Yeah, just from shooting the gun so much. Lemon's hearing has got to be pretty rickety at this point.
Oh yeah.
I like to imagine there's a big
What?
budget for going to clerics and getting lesser restorations to just get the edge cut off of that, like, all the
Oh, yeah.
time. Okay, so pretty quickly you guys make your way up and around towards the top. A couple of times as you're headed up, people seeing that you made it into the cathedral and survived kind of clap you on the back. People are whispering about what you were doing down there. You overhear conversations that wildly vacillate between you going down there to duel the Vemeral 4-on-3, to you looking for some lost treasure, to you trying to kill the heart of the song. Like, people have come up with completely different motivations for why you led this sort of grand charge into the heart of the Reliquary. Because for most of these people, it is a mystery and probably will remain one. You make your way up top. At this point, I think it is probably later in the day. The sun has maybe set, which is something of a blessing. It is not 145 degrees as you make your way into the ash, sand, and bone of the gray and dead expanse that is the Tomb Desert. You are immediately kind of assaulted with this town that has been constructed. Every day that you manage to survive and keep making your way up, more people are up top who plan to not go back down again, who have made their fortunes, are ready to return. And so the music gets a little louder, the food smell fills a little bit more space. The camp gets more populated as you continue, as people begin to get ready to head out in the next few days, most likely. Some of these people may even choose to leave on their own, not wanting to wait for everybody else in case something goes wrong. So you all said you're headed for the airship, right? Is
Yeah.
anybody up to anything else, or are we sort of moving as a unit?
I guess just like on our way up there, just if we can run into Callan and just redirect him to where the temple is and be like, that's a good place to rest up. We'll get back in touch. We'll get in touch with you after we get some rest after such an ordeal.
Yeah, you see Callan is in fact set up at one of these like impromptu restaurants that are up here. Basically, somebody who can cast plant growth has been making like infinite vegetable soup and kebabs and whatnot. You can't exactly get meat out here. Callan looks over at you all. You see that he is sitting in front of about 8 empty bowls. About 2 stacks of 4 that have been sort of pushed to the side, and is being handed another bowl, and you see somebody who's really regretting putting all you can eat as a price point on their sign, who is like dripping sweat from casting the same first level spell over and over again. As Kalanor goes, absolutely. I will be glad to speak. You said a temple. All right, certainly. And you see they take a brief note. They seem to have already familiarized themselves with everybody. Their common is a little bit better, a little more suited to your time period already. They've been sort of speaking kind of nonstop. You imagine a couple 100 years of silence makes you crave conversation. So they will head down to the temple in short order. As you make your way over to the sort of massive figure that is the sky ship, you see that sure enough, it is almost entirely empty. As you approach, you do pass a few dead bodies that are on either side of the ship, people that either were thrown off by L43 when they were ordered to sort of make their way onto the ship, or who perhaps... I don't know. Some other nonsense occurred as they tried to make their way out and found themselves dead in the sand, not even having made their way down below. You make your way through the various decks, walking by only moderate to minor carnage as you make your way up, but you do see a couple of odd things. As you make your way up this sort of gold, scintillating, to use a unnecessarily fantasy term, staircase, you do see that some of the rigging on the inside of the ship, sky ships, have to sort of balance their weight the whole time they are sailing, and so there is pretty complicated systems of ropes that can slide storage from side to side to make sure that it doesn't get too heavy on one side. You can see that most of that rigging is up, as if people have been like tying it off and sort of moving things along, and the entire ship is staying pretty stable as they're making their way upward. It almost looks like somebody was halfway through taking off with the ship when you all arrived. As you're making your way up to the top deck, you begin to overhear, specifically those of you with the higher passive perceptions in the group, bickering coming from on the deck of the ship. And I'm going to hand it back over to you, to Michael Spencer and Stefan, and I'm going to say, what edge of the conversation do we catch as our three members of Surat's Little Freaks, as who would it be, Kernal, Micah, and Orset, are trying to figure out how to start the ship without the car keys?
I mean, maybe if we just like get it moving, it'll just keep on moving. Like, just give it a little kick.
This ship is 18,000 pounds. I don't think you quite understand what a little kick means here. That would be like the force of 180,000 horses. So
You
maybe...
got 180,000 horses in your pocket?
No.
No.
I mean, we can get out and start pushing. I mean, we're not 180,000 horses, but I mean, we're the strength of us is the strength of Surat.
Can anybody maybe call our master? He could probably do it.
And I assume that sometime around
our
now,
master.
Harold, Lemon, Hilver, and Beige's heads slowly appear up one of the staircases going down into the body of the ship, as, sure enough, you see a small kobold, a man in a star and moon wizard's robe, and Hilver, Stefan, I don't remember what your character looked like.
I think he was just sort of like semi-tattered armaments.
Okay,
or
great.
something.
It's good to know that the reason I don't remember is our other two were a small kobold in plate mail and a guy in star and moon's robes, and yours was a guy. So you see those three sort of in formation. I'm going to say most likely Kernal, the wizard you see, just has like a crystal and is holding it up to the wheel of the ship, just trying to see if something's going to work, trying to like override the magic of the wheel. It is not working, as they are sort of trying to attend. And we sort of fade into this scene to avoid you all kind of just having to talk to yourselves for this whole time. I'm going to say we're going to kind of fade out to helicopter blades a little bit. Just tell me how each of your characters would react to this. And I'm speaking, of course, about Lemon, Harold, Hilver, and Beige. What do you think your character would do in the next 30 seconds about this sort of very strange situation?
Harold would go to draw his weapon, would see the wizard in the robes, would stop for like half a second, and is like, ooh. And so he's sort of frozen, stuck between what are these people doing on our ship, and that guy's got a robe that I really want, and is stuck there.
All right, cool.
Lemon has a gun already pulled, ready to say something along the lines of, all right, you all know you're taken from bottom line here, right?
All right, Hilbert, Beige, what are you two?
Beach is gonna lean over to Harold and be like, I don't think they can read. Like, I don't think we could be mean to them. I don't think they can read the sign.
That's yet to be seen.
All right, and Hilver, how's Hilver reacting to this?
I think like his first gut reaction is like maybe they're, since like the Votai have been like chasing us, they're like he's like ready for like this to have been one of their scouting parties that is like knows where we're going and is ready to intercept us, and so he's just like checking them for like signs of like possession or the chorus.
Possession of the chorus.
Wait. Afterwards, I also would, after Beach leans over, Beach is gonna like use a little thaumaturgy to like make it look like it's working. Like,
The orb starts sparking.
Yeah.
Just as everybody shows up, Harold pauses for just a second. Lemon immediately pulls a gun and points it at somebody as Hilver is starting to like quickly dart eyes between them, seeing if this is some of these creatures leaving to like go infect somebody. Beige holds out their hands and the entire ship starts to harmlessly tremble because of thaumaturgy, and you all just see Kernal go, it's working, like holding this crystal aloft as the others sort of begin to panic.
yeah, Harold, they can't read.
Just a few
Alright,
moments
nice.
in the future, we see the three of them. Would you have tied them up or just made them step away from the wheel?
Harold wouldn't have tied him up, but Harold's not the only guy here.
Okay.
No, step back.
Okay, you see, then we cut just a little bit in the future, and we see Kernau, Micah, and Orset, who are all, like, sitting on barrels with their hands in their laps, looking sort of sheepish at the fact that they have been caught in the midst of stealing the ship. Who wants to kind of take the lead on this? I'm going to say, let's have Beige take the lead so that Spencer, Michael, and Stefan can play their other characters without too much double talk. So Beige, being the sort of charisma creature of this group, takes the lead as Harold is just, I assume, staring at Kernau, trying to figure out how to end this conversation with them getting their robes. As Lemon and
Kernau's
Hilbert
terrified.
are sort of, yeah. Kernau is just this giant paladin in glinting adamantine is just staring down relentlessly. Nicole, cut me off a slice of how Beige is kind of approaching this little conversation here. And Spencer, Michael, and Stefan, you know what your characters would know.
It's of the utmost urgency. Our master is has been sick and dying, and we're really trying to like get this information back to him about this device. Like, we're still hoping that we can still find something here that can restore him to his formal vigor.
I promise I cannot read. You are correct.
Yeah,
Me either. I've never read a book in my life.
that's
kind of
shocking.
devour them, don't you?
You guys? Oh, what? I'm shocked.
The camera pans
wow.
to the right, and we see Kernau's bag, which is just 10 books with a leather belt holding them together.
I think at this point, Beach would like to kind of give a little sort of, maybe a performance, perhaps. Take this opportunity to give a little performance to recap the situation.
Okay.
Free of charge, like, no worries.
That's kind. That's kind.
It is. And then after, like, the beautiful, amazing performance, obviously, so, do you maybe know where your friend is?
What friend?
Yeah. Who?
So let's do this. So go ahead and make that performance check, and let's see how persuasive your retelling of the story of the bottom line was.
Remember, Beach is hot and also sexy.
Oh, that's true. So
Kernau's
back
too old.
when Beige vomited again on their way out, you saw one of the mages just go, "No, it's not possible!" and just like grab the sides of their head as they saw somebody vomit hot, and then just immediately loses We're not playing Call of Cthulhu. They lose 15 sanity points. They have a minor break. They run off.
Was an 11 plus 10, a 21.
A 21. So Kernau, Micah, and Orset, you are told a version of the story that paints the bottom line as maybe the greatest heroes of the last age for trying to keep the sort of Vemeral away. And it occurs to you that you are maybe on the opposite team a little bit right now. Your reactions are your own. Have you told them about Surat yet?
So like that one person who touched the sword and shield, you guys ended up killing him? Was he kind of like very like resistant to you guys then?
Was he mean?
Yeah, he was mean.
Oh.
Yeah, he was pretty mean.
What if he was nice? Would you have killed him? Would you try to be friends with him?
'Cause he was one of your friends at first, right?
He was an acquaintance of sorts.
So why did you kill him? Who cares if he had the weapon? It
You
doesn't
see,
matter.
it wasn't him, is the thing. Mostly.
Ah.
Why?
Let me sing you a song.
And then you reiterate that part. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes,
yeah, no, so
right.
I got
our
lost
friend-
in the third reprise. I
It
got
was a lot
soupy in
there.
there.
Plus,
This
did you guys not listen to the bridge?
It was so much.
Guys.
I won't lie. There was a lot
Guys,
going on.
1, 2, 3, 4. Reed repeats the
Ba-
bridge.
ba- ba-
Everybody
Yes,
sing
yes.
it with me. When you pick
And
up
then
the
they do
weapons.
it.
When
The
you
bottom
pick
line.
up the weapons.
Don't wanna touch that all.
Hi guys,
Yeah.
welcome to our improv musical troupe. We're boys to men, but it's 2 TOOUE.
Yeah. No, all right. So yeah. So say he didn't go crazy. Then cool, right?
But
Yay.
he did, though.
He did. Hypothetically, what if it was not that?
Well, I've never seen it.
Beach, go ahead and make an Arcana check.
Seven.
Beach with 7? Who could say?
I have never seen it.
Who can say?
Yeah. No. So the thing is, our friend did it. Touched the thing. Totally fine.
Mhm.
Got really big. Got really strong.
He guarded us
Fine.
and all that. Was chatting normally.
Yeah.
Okay,
They're still friends.
Had the memories. Had the. Not the vocal cadence. That was a little bit different. Called us little freaks.
Yeah.
But besides that, totally like the same
that sounds
person.
great. Who is this person?
Named Sarat.
Okay.
So Sarat's
they're-
cool. We don't want Sarat to die. The problem with Sarat is Sarat hasn't slept.
Yeah, have you
How
guys
how
been
long has
like,
it been? Three days?
have you been getting like
4 days.
messaging? Have you been like messaging back and forth with Sarat?
Yeah,
Using, like, some
Kurnow would have been sending some messages.
So you've been
whenever
getting these like
possible.
increasingly groggy responses as Sarat has sort of had to
Yeah.
continue to work and work and work.
So that's the problem with Sarat. So what we need is potentially somebody to extract the item from Sarat, keep Sarat alive, and hypothetically speaking, bring us the item back. Deal?
Okay, that last part. Can you just?
The deal part? Yes.
The part where you save our friend?
yeah.
Yeah,
it'd be good to have him back.
that sounds great. I mean, I think in that
Extract the
sense-
item?
we're all on the same page with that for sure.
Bring it back to us and we have a deal?
Right.
Person who agrees with you say what?
Here's what I'll say.
Didn't get it?
I think I would love to have a conversation with your friend if they're still able to. As you know, you heard from our tale, we're pretty capable, and we're pretty equipped to kind of deal with a situation like this since we've done so recently. So let's start there, for sure. And I'll tell you what, you in the robe, if I will try to convince my friends to bring this item back to you.
Just staring at you.
If you give me your robe.
I'm not wearing anything underneath the robe. This is the
That's
whole thing.
not my problem.
It's really hot here. Most of the time
You-
I'd wear underoos
Are you
of some
hot
sort.
or sexy?
Some would say.
Okay.
No.
great. That's
No.
fine.
You're looking at an
He's an old
85-year-old.
wizard.
You're looking at an 85-year-old in temp. Like,
Hot.
Yeah.
Hot.
Here's the deal. I'll give it to you if you agree to bring back the item.
Right, but like I said, is that I would talk to my friends because I'm very persuasive, as you could probably tell.
Okay. I'll give you my hat for the conversation.
Yeah,
and
but
keep
see,
the
I don't
robe.
want your hat.
Harold leans over and says, actually, I kind of do want
Okay,
that
fine, I'll
hat."
take the hat.
okay.
All right, deal. Here you go.
So with the hat, Beige, you take this sort of stars and crowns, Steamboat Willie-esque to say the one that's not, turn around. And now we cut in with Harold, Lemonhilver, and Beige, who are huddled up in the corner having a quick conversation about what to do.
We are not bringing it back to that. I gotta be so clear.
I know how we're gonna let them down, but I knew you wanted that.
The hat's really good. We're not.
No.
We're not. They said something about a master. They didn't really indicate who, but he looks over them.
Harold, you would know if they're agents of the Emerald Spire. You would know.
Yeah.
You would know of Umrath at least by reputation.
Yeah, agents of Umrath. I'm not giving Umrath an immortal weapon, even if he doesn't get possessed by it. Let's say he just figures out how to do it. No.
No, we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to kill them.
Whoa.
I
They
bet
can't
Umrath
read.
could-
That hardly seems fair.
I do
Yeah,
bet
we're gonna have to let
Umrath
them
would give
down.
you that robe, though.
Umrath would give me the robe. But no, we can't. We can just kick them out. And we can find
yes.
Surratt. But if we maybe we can strike a deal with them so they can tell us where Surratt is if they're messaging.
I think that would have been part of what I was kind of sort of bargaining for before.
If we they'll tell us where Surratt is if we promise to give the item to them. We
Well,
can lie.
my deal was that I would try to convince you guys that maybe it would be a good idea to keep it.
Yeah,
I'm not
sure.
gonna do that.
And it's not gonna happen.
I'm not
no.
doing that. This is me trying to convince you. Yeah, guys, totally. We should definitely give them that. No, let's do that for real.
So we should just lie to them.
I'm not lying. I'm convincing you right now.
You aren't.
All
We're
All
saying
Beach
no.
promised to
alright.
do was try to convince
I
you.
said-
Yeah, I get the hat no matter
Try.
what happens. I get the robe if we say yes.
Yeah.
And they'll
But-
tell us where Surratt is if we say yes. It's just gonna actually be a no. We can lie. I look over. Yeah, none of those guys are paladins. They can't zone of truth. We're good. They can't cast zone of truth on us.
Yeah, but also, we'll have to fight whoever it's Surratt. We'll have to fight Surratt. I don't want to fight a Vameril again like that.
They said she's cool. They said she's fully conscious. They
Yeah,
said
but-
she's cool.
Yeah, but if we start trying to take their weapon and like disagreeing with them,
I don't
That's-
think. I don't know if they really want it deep down.
The best we can hope for is that we find Surratt and we get the weapon by any means necessary. If that's a fight, fine. If they give it to us, even better. We don't have a way of forcing that.
We gotta
that
try.
aspect.
I do have one thought, a little tradesy. If they don't want the weapon but they want to keep a weapon, maybe we give them another good weapon.
I think that they're after specifically that weapon.
Well, yeah, but I think we can convince them. Yeah, just trying to avoid that fight.
Oh, you're saying just pretend that we're giving them these?
No,
Again,
no.
that'd be funny, but no. It's Surratt is their own element at this point. Whether we get these guys on our side or not, just gives us the information on where Surratt is. Surratt is a rogue trader here. Surratt will just say, "No, I'm not giving it to you," regardless of the deal we strike here, because Surratt wants the weapon for themselves, presumably.
Do you think
As I
they
said.
care about Surratt enough to make a trade for Surratt's life?
We
They
can try.
did leave him down there, but they are protecting him too. Yeah,
I think that's
a
the
good
best.
idea.
That's the best we can do. We say we will do everything in our power to keep Surratt alive. We're not going to give you the weapon though, and we'll add this in. We'll bring you anywhere you want. You want to go back to the Emerald Spire because you're going to get killed by a big fat dragon? We get you out of here. We got an airship. We'll bring you wherever you want.
Or you
That's a
want to
good
get
deal.
away from that big fat dragon.
Yeah. So I think that's our best deal. So go ahead and hit him with that.
Okay. Beige turns around.
Here's the deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deal.
Great.
The kobold goes, deal.
Deal,
Great. I mean, he said it. He
He
said
said
it.
deal. He said deal.
Great. Awesome. Pleasure doing business with y'all.
Yeah.
Without waiting.
So, we'll
Hammer.
save Surat. We'll certainly try our best, especially if Surat is more conscious than not. We will try our best to save your friend. In return, we keep the weapon. But, to avoid any consequences that might befall you in consequence of that, we'll happily get you wherever you need to go to get away from whatever your situation is. I mean, you said deal. I'm just telling you what's going on, just so that you know.
You were saying deals what we said.
You got us. We did say deal.
Our hands are now bound.
Why does my game have the Animaniacs in it? What's going on?
We're the little freaks.
It's so good.
I'll agree.
You already have.
You'll agree to agree.
Here's our section of the agreement. If you can get me admittance to Edifice, I'll do my level best.
Can I do that?
Interesting. Can Beige do that? Beige, you would have a couple of, potential ways to get it done. So number one, Beige is just extremely persuasive. If you roll high enough, sure, you could probably get him through customs. Number two, you have a big ship that technically belongs to Edifice. So if you were to let Kurnow take the airship, actually, at the end of all of this, if you were to say, all right, Kurnow, here's the car keys, Kurnow could probably bring that to Edifice, and they would be appreciative enough to maybe let them in. Your only third option would be to pick some dangerous magic item from down here, give it to Kurnow, and say, bring him this? That'll probably work. So you have some options.
We do have the Viscount's body, so maybe if they just take the dragon's head and stick it on there, it'll be ungainly, but he'll have a fully functioning body.
Ew.
Just
yeah,
a giant
actually,
dragon's head on the dead body of the Viscount.
They have
We've
some
already
options.
said deal. I'm just laying out the terms that we've already agreed to.
There is
Right.
definitely plenty of medical knowledge down there, so I can at least ask the mages from Gastelon to forward some of that along to Umlath, if that would help his pursuit for a cure.
Yeah, we'll do what we can do.
I mean, sounds like a deal to me.
And that's the bottom line.
All right, I'll take it.
True to your name, then.
There's a musical sting in the back.
Okay. I'm going to message Surat and find out where Surat's at right now.
Okay.
Give me a second.
Okay, Harold, you send out this message. Well, it can't be a message because you're not within the 20 feet
Yeah, it's
of the other person.
or whatever.
Sending, we'll say you probably have sending stones or something of the like that you can use to sort of contact one another. You send out the sending, you only have a few of these a day. And we are going to cut actually down below. We see Surat in a large circular room with a spiral staircase that goes up and up and up. We see that it goes up and leads to a doorway, and that entire staircase is also a bookshelf covered in books and scrolls and stone tablets and all kinds of bits of research evidence. Who can even say what? At the base of this, at a large wooden table, we see a hulking, muscle-bound figure. Surat currently has the strength equivalent of a fire giant and is stooped over a table, very slowly flipping through the pages of a book that they are now much too large to read. Surat was still a medium creature the last time we saw them. Surat is now a large creature, has continued to grow into this form, hammer sort of clutched in their hands. Surat has deep, dark bags under their eyes and in fact has 3 points of exhaustion and has been just still tirelessly plugging away at this. And so I will say, bearing those things in mind, that you are exhausted, have been researching relentlessly, and what I will say, although we cannot see the evidence of it in the room, Nicole, Sarat has had to kill a great number of creatures that have come here to kill you. You have woken up multiple times from, like, not woken up because you haven't been able to sleep. You have found these creatures attempting to assassinate you on multiple different occasions and have been fighting, studying, and staying awake. Every time sleep almost takes you, that voice at the back of your head starts to kind of blossom and fill the empty space of your mind until you manage to sort of shake yourself awake. Spencer, what message do they receive from Kernal? What sending in this moment? You've got 25 words.
Sarat, we have found a solution to your sleep problem. Several heroes are on their way. They will not kill you. Where are you? Please.
Why'd you throw up the shocker so much?
That's just how I count to 3.
Why doesn't that way? I was like, damn, he's really committed to that bit. Damn, he's really committed to that bit.
Nah, that's just how I count to 3.
And I will ask, what does
I see that a lot, and I see that a lot.
Yeah.
Never. I don't see this a lot. This is
Damn.
how I do it.
That's uncomfortable for me.
Nicole, how does Sarat find this message?
Perhaps with as much relief as could be possible when every other option that you've tried or tried to find has failed. But I think maybe that connection to Sarat's friends and people that she knows maybe helps, maybe gives like a jolt of herself coming back into, the forefront. So maybe that helps a little bit, kind of
Okay.
quiet that voice.
So Sarat, as well as they can, responds that they have found themselves in the tower, one of the places that you have not managed to go down below, and that you have holed yourself up in there for some time. It would seem that the creatures do not attack you as ferociously there, which is why you have been staying there so regularly. And that is what you would know to be able to respond with.
All right. We're going to
In
bed.
tower.
In tower.
Tower.
Yeah, I imagined
Cool.
it as something along the lines of like, in tower, the Votai pursue me less here. I have found things, they all point to doom. Is about the best, because that is what you would see in all of the research that you've managed to do, looking into the Piper, looking into the song, how it connects to the weapons. It always comes up the same. Once somebody is tethered, untethering them is nearly impossible. And so Sarat has been searching somewhat fruitlessly. So we cut back as Harold, Lemon, Hilver, and Beige prepare to rest and not let these 3 absolute doofuses take your ship.
We still haven't given him an answer on how to take the ship, which we're not going to do.
Yeah, no.
So, bedtime.
Okay, so do we find you all back at the temple, or do you sleep up here on the ship?
I think up here on the ship, because we're surrounded by people up here, it's kind of safe.
We cut to the absolutely unimaginably luxurious interior of the Viscount's ship. We're talking hot water. We're talking showers. We're talking every amenity thing you could ever hope for. This place is rigged up with gas lights. This is unbelievable luxury on the interior of the ship. You all are on the Titanic before everything went so bad. It's like fine silverware and glassware out on tables. It looks like everybody left in the middle of a dinner party as you're making your way down. These like beautiful stained wooden interiors, golden filigree on the edges of everything. Whoever eventually makes their way into the Viscount's room does in fact discover what is the super giant is the like Alaska king bed that's like twice the width of a king mattress and 3 times as long. This entire place is preposterous on the interior.
Veda curls up on the foot of that bed, that's for sure.
Harold and Beach share.
Harold and
Pretty sure
Beej
this
are,
way we all.
Harold, Beej, Lemon, and Hilver could all sleep on this bed and not be touching. Like, this is a ridiculous place.
Sleepover!
Yeah, you guys are like full.
Yay.
Imagine if the palace at Versailles could fly. And that's pretty much where you all are at. We cut to down below, and we see a group of bedraggled mages of Remgastelon, and we see that pushing like a little cart by them, we see in yet another disguise we have never seen before, Bartholomew selling waking tonics, which is literally just Bartholomew has just been like shoving tea leaves into water and just shaking it and selling it to mages as a tonic for like 10
Good
gold a
job.
pop. As we find you all bedding down for rest for the evening. And with that, it's 8:40. We are going to take 10 right here, and we will see you all back at 8:50 for the second half of our episode. See you all right back here. Hello, everybody, and welcome back yet again to The Party Makes Things Worse, Song of the Reliquary. Our party of adventurers is enjoying their downtime, quickly making their way up, having a brief conversation with their newly released sort of fire Goliath friend, making their way onto the ship, contacting Surratt's little freaks, talking to them, brokering a deal, and now being able to make some contact with Surratt themselves, the current wielder of the Hammer of Tagor Brightfall. Quite the situation. You all have just found out where Surratt is sleeping, where they are sort of maintaining their watch, but needed yourselves to go to rest so that you could be useful when the new day dawns. As we go through a long night of rest, I will just ask, does anybody get up to any other shenanigans during the night? It's fine if the
probably
I
still
couldn't have
spend-
tried.
I'd spend some of it maybe like in the crow's nest, just kind of keeping watch of things and then heading back to sleep. Maybe curled up there.
Make a perception check for me.
All right. That's just a 12.
The 12. It is a long stretch of nothing in many directions. The constant overcast is only occasionally interrupted by the shining of light in the sky, as the moon will occasionally cut through the sort of perpetual clouds that choke the desert. You can see distant sandstorms swirling and filling areas of the countryside here. You can only imagine how terrible some of those get when you're making your way through the middle of them. You remember finding a piece of bone the size of like a strawberry in the air, something that you caught that is able to catch with just the amount of wind speed it has, that kind of thing, this truly dead and decaying place. As the sun begins to rise, the minute it touches the horizon, the temperatures begin to climb. But on the interior of a ship of edifice, you are all enjoying a balmy 68 degrees that is perpetually undisturbed by the changing temperatures outside. Although when you step out on decks, you will be greeted by the heat that everybody else has to deal with as well, and immediately get pins and needles, like when you're walking out of air conditioning and into a hot day. As the sun rises, what are you all getting up to as the morning dawns and a new day begins?
So, guys, I figure it's a good time to talk about who we want to bring on this quest. But before we get into that, I needed to talk about a plan that I've been brewing up over the last several hours in my sleep, in my rest. We could go down there, and we could talk to Surratt, try to get the weapon from Surratt, etc. But it sounds like, at best, we're going to get the weapon from Surratt. Surratt won't be mentally dominated, but will be irreparably damaged from the removal of the weapon. That's sort of the vibe I've been getting from the wizards and from them, that crew. I think that the solution would be sort of two birds with one stone here. We go down to Surratt, we talk to Surratt about what's going on in the entire space, and we convince Surratt to go with us into the tunnel with the silence bubble to deal with the chorus and maybe the piper that we've been sort of hearing a little bit about here and there. So that way the song isn't a problem. Surratt is then broken from that tether. We can take the item from Surratt and maybe not have Surratt just go crazy with the loss of the weapon. So we're putting Surratt in harm's way, but I think it's also sort of the best chance we have at keeping Surratt alive. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I like it. Quick question. Does anyone have anything like calm mind or something like that?
Calm emotions?
Calm emotions.
Pretty sure.
Sleep.
Keep in mind,
No,
it's the dawn of
actually,
a new
I
day,
don't.
so you could have. So those of you who are prepared casters, you could take new spells this morning. That would be.
I do not.
I think Harold as a
Lie.
paladin can do that.
Not high enough, unfortunately, I think.
Makes
I
sense.
don't have that in my options. So no, I can command Surratt if I beat him in a a battle of wills, or her in a
Hmm.
battle of wills.
She
But
does have
otherwise,
she does have the resilience to take possession of the hammer, so that might be tough.
I have sleep.
sleep, yeah, might do it. But again,
Alright.
we don't want to do sleep. I need to make
Yeah.
that so clear. We do sleep, that defeats the entire purpose. Surah will be psychically destroyed by the weapon and taken
Yeah.
over.
I was thinking if we calm emotions and calm whatever's in her mind,
Yeah, I can
calm
try
the other
command,
things. Yeah,
but that's
yeah,
not
we could.
exactly.
Yeah, we're getting some of that studying that I don't do. So
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure.
I think we just
but-
gotta shoot straight. We gotta just say, this is the thing. We want your help. Maybe this breaks the curse.
Right?
Yeah.
So is that the plan? We're going to head that way?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right.
I think so.
Then we find Lemon, Harold, Hilver, and Beige making their way down into the Reliquary again. Stepping out of the just burgeoning blazing sun overhead, you begin to step inside. You see that what was once a extremely quiet, anxiety-ridden space of small in-groups tucked away in different corners, with the buildings they had managed to lance off from the others, making occasionally small strikes at one another, most of the time dealing with deadly strikes from the Votai as they climb within the catacombs of the walls, has completely changed. It looks for all the world now like this is this space belongs to you all, and that the other creatures are the things being held back. You see campfires burning in that park that is built up in the center. You see that a few of the trees have been felled for firewood on the interior. You can see that additional bridges have been built using some materials from up top. Rope bridges have been added to allow reinforcements to quickly get to one another. Mages of Remgasalon have used stone shaping and other magic to reinforce barriers, turning simple wooden blockades made out of cracked furniture into stone furniture, and then eventually into just walls of stone and things that are supporting. You can see that the front door of the forge is just a burning wall of fire. Assumably some spell was cast in the early hours of the morning to allow them to catch their breath and rotate out guards. All across the space, they have taken over this place in a very real way, and you cannot help but notice that the bodies of Votai, these people, you now know humans, elves, whatever servants of the Vemeral that were here that turned themselves into abominations so that they could serve perpetually. Their bodies are stacked in piles in different corners of the place, out of the way enough to not get in the way of other people's movements and the defense of this place. Things could not have changed more. As you begin to make your way down deeper and deeper, you see that the door to the temple has been sort of wedged open, and you see the large form of Kalin the cleric you now know, who is ministrating and offering aid to people. You see them like burning low-level spells, making medicine checks. They seem to have fully just gone into whatever old cleric style position they have. They are maintaining with quite a bit of grace, despite, you would assume, being mentally annihilated by over 1,000 years of isolation. I continue to roll wisdom saves for these characters that are released from the Bastilles, and somehow they rolled even better than your last. You guys have pretty foul luck. Well, foul for me, luck when it comes to these characters. And so Colin seems ready and willing to pick back up right where they left off.
I mean, couldn't be better for us than that. Anybody who loses a limb, come on back. You know, we might be all right.
I do think you need about 5,000 gold worth of like diamond dust or something for that, but I'm sure you could scrounge that up somewhere. And you can see that tower, largely undisturbed. Many people had assumed that maybe there was nothing important inside, given the fact that it was so sparsely defended. It is towards the bottom of the tower, of this sort of large atrium. Do you guys head right there? Do you do anything else on the way?
I think we can head right there. We should probably warn the mages, though. We should tell the mages what we're doing, so that maybe they can set up a bit of a perimeter in case word gets out that that's happening, and the Votai send a bunch of people as like a strike force.
Yeah,
It'd be
they
good
might
to
be
have
waiting.
some eyes. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah, we'll go do that then. I'll tell the mages.
All right. So just sort of naturally on your way down, you swing by the archive, which is where they have been set up basically this entire time. Still studying and looking for texts on necromancy that they have yet to find some secret that this place is supposedly going to hold. As you arrive, Harold, in short order as you speak to a few people, Orax Solden comes out to greet you and your allies. A new day dawning, they seem to be as bright and ready for a new day of exploration and hopefully new secrets as they were before.
Hey, we're moving to the tower for a bit of an operation here. We've got pretty good understanding that the hammer is holed up in possession of somebody who was able to resist the thrall. So we're heading there. We think that person's been under attack from the Votai for the last several days while resisting that thrall. So we were hoping if you could spare a few people to perimeter that tower in case there's an assault, that'd be great. And we're going to try and get them to go into the tunnel with us to take care of the problem at the source right afterwards. And that's the move.
Orax says, certainly. You continue to impress such information so quickly. Good to know that you at least have a location for the hammer. And Sable actually speaks up, this like very large animated suit of armor goes, would it not be simpler to kill them? If they pose
we
such
struck
a
a
danger.
bargain.
There's these
would.
little freaks.
Yeah, there's little they call themselves the Little Freaks. They're Surat's party. And to get the information on where Surat was, we had to give an oath that we wouldn't kill Surat. So, attempt is get Surat to help us. If Surat dies in combat, so be it. But if we do this mission and Surat lives, Surat gets to survive, and we get the weapon, and we've kept our word.
And if Surat dies in the tunnel and one of the creatures picks up the hammer?
We'll kill the creature.
Sable looks down at Orax, who looks up and goes, Paladin, and just whispers paladins under their breath a little bit and goes, well, if that's the deal, the bargain that you've made, I suppose, do what you must do, and that's what you must. How much? So create a perimeter. We certainly can get that together and make sure that it will be well enforced enough that if you have some fight on the interior, those on the exterior will not be able to join.
Perfect.
And
Thank
I guess on the upside too, once Surat's out of the tower there, I think it's a place of probably like a lot more knowledge too. So hopefully your group can get in there and find what you're looking for too.
Yeah, first dibs.
Oh, certainly. I appreciate that greatly. Absolutely, then. Fantastic. All right.
Perfect.
Orax immediately sort of sets into motion as you make your way down, getting a group together. You see that, sure enough, Orax and Sable themselves accompany this group on their way down. So, at the minimum, alongside the others, you have an Archmage and their bodyguard there to make sure that things go well as they can. As you make your way down, you begin to head towards the sort of towering... I almost said the towering form of the tower. Guys, it's 2 a.m.
Towering tower.
It's not. You make your way over towards this large, spiring tower that climbs up the interior of this place, covering quite a large sort of swath along the side.
Would you say it's towering?
Maybe. In any other place, this would maybe be quite imposing, but compared to the massive facade of the forge, compared to the grotesques and strangeness of the outside of the surgery, this place really doesn't stand out. It is not that surprising that it would sort of slide off of the notice of many of the other people here. Surat alone, it would seem, deduced that there was something secret to be found in the halls of this one semi-abandoned structure. As the bottom line makes their way there, you see that the mages of Remgastelon, in many numbers, find themselves on various parapets, stairwells, places where they have a good vantage point and are within that 120 to 30 feet that they are all going to want to be. And at the central stone pathway, the only one that goes back and forth from the tower, the massive form of Sable is just standing in the middle of the bridge. Orax about 20 paces behind. You notice sort of levitating about 10 feet in the air above the ground that they can see over the top of Sable's head.
I mean, couldn't ask for a better rear guard than that.
Quite the display as you make your way up to the door. What do you do? Who takes the lead?
Harold will walk up front. I walk up to the front door. I just see if I can push it open.
Absolutely. You go to push the door open, and you do feel some resistance from the other side. It wiggles a little, so you get the sense it isn't locked. It's just clearly something has been propped or barred in front of the door.
Time to push.
Did Sirach give us a passcode that we should let him know about, or?
No.
I think we'll just start yelling in common.
Yeah.
We'll just start speaking regular common. It'll be a good say. Yeah, and say the name is probably our best bet. Yeah, I'm gonna start pushing.
Okay, go ahead and just make an athletics check.
That is a 19.
Oh, with the 19, you managed to get enough leverage down with maybe a little assistance from some of the others to push as hard as you can. And the door swings open a couple of inches, enough that you all will be able to squeeze through. Harold, it's a good thing your armor can't be scraped. Otherwise, it probably would take some scuffs in the process. But as you manage to kind of leverage it enough, you see that there is just a huge, one of those metal braziers that's built into a small stone pillar has been just laid sideways in front of the door. So truly, you push 800 pounds of stone and metal out of the way with a little bit of assistance before you manage to sort of shimmy your way through diagonally into the interior. You are
must be huge.
You are immediately faced with a sort of octagonal space, not quite the cylindrical one that you are anticipating being up higher. And you see a littering of carnage. You see pieces of some Votai in familiar shapes and a few in unfamiliar shapes. You see some that I could almost describe as witches. They are a little bit less refined, have a little bit less additional bronze and copper workings, but do have the similar slight build, and you do see some signs of strikes of lightning, which you know are sort of the signature work that they seem to do on the interior. They have been scattered and torn asunder, along with a few others, and you can see some shattered bookcases and broken stone sections where some massive fight was had here probably a few days ago now.
Well, looks like we're gonna have pretty smooth sailing in here, I think. So, if you guys want to pilfer whatever is in here, go ahead. But I'm gonna keep moving.
Yeah, considering they have to stay awake, time is definitely of the essence now.
Okay, so if you guys are just pushing ahead, that's fine. As you begin to make your way over to the steps, I think everybody, given what I rolled, hears from up above you somewhere a loud creak. Like somebody in the floor above you is trying to be quiet, having heard the door open, and you just hear a
Hey, Sarat, it's us. Don't do the shit you did to these people down here to us. That'd be really cool. Your friend sent us. The little freak sent us.
Okay, go to make a persuasion check with advantage.
Can I just say, when I picture Sarat, all I can see in my mind is that episode of SpongeBob when Sandy goes into hibernation and she gets enormous.
Yeah, just incredibly yoked. That's really good.
But she's wearing
Dirty Dan.
Yeah, but she's wearing very feminine pajamas. It's really funny.
It's good stuff. I'm just going to ask before we play out the scene. Nicole, do you want to play Sarat or do you want me to play Sarat?
You can, but I would, just for like what I would kind of be thinking in this moment. I think at this point it's kind of dismal, and I think Surratt knows that. So I think trying to do anything possible, just try literally anything. Yeah, and also Surratt has like really been faking. Obviously, like Surratt's backstory from like weeks ago that didn't really matter, but now it does.
And now it matters so much.
It matters so much now. Is that she was faking it, like she just pretended to be good at it, and now all of a sudden she has all the power that she like, pretended to have all this like, knowledge and power, and she doesn't have. She never had that. She was never good at anything. So keeping that vibe in mind, where it's like she's really never been good at anything or good for anything. So just keeping that vibe in the back of your mind. It's sad, but
Are you sure
she
you
was
don't
pretending.
just want to play Surratt? It's up to you.
No, it's okay. That's all like the vibes that I was kind of thinking of.
What was the result of the persuasion check with advantage?
Oh, you're
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. With the Dirty 20, you all begin to hear very loud footsteps that are made quiet by the thud, thud, thud that follows behind them. And you watch as coming down the stairs like truly looking like some kind of undead hill giant. You see that this massive hammer, this weapon that you all have been pursuing, this ancient tool of these people is being just dragged in a hand behind them on the ground. And as they step down the stairs, every few steps there is a loud whoomp as this hammer that must weigh tens, maybe like 100 pounds is just like thudding on each step behind them. You see a massive, deeply tired looking face of Surratt. All dark bags under the eyes, skin which was already, if memory serves from the description, relatively fair, so pale it looks almost blue. But you can see like extremely bright red, painful looking stretch marks and tears in the skin of their shoulders and arms, up the sides of their neck. Their head is a little out of proportion and a touch too small for their now really quite titanic frame, sort of looking around at each of you. An odd mixture of the musculature fighting the voice that they learned and their youth and growing. It is good to see you. Anyone? Come upstairs. I don't want to go the rest of the way down. And they turn and start to like drag their way, having only taken maybe 5 or 6 steps. You can see that several of the like stones of the steps have been shattered by their weight and the thumps of the hammer down the steps.
Yeah, great to meet you. And I'm walking up behind.
You make your way up. You see that they are wearing, they have managed to, you can see the base of a normal outfit, and you can see where probably drapes and other fabric has been like messily stitched together into some kind of outfit, sort of like a big folded kind of Roman kind of toga look, purely out of necessity as they are sort of making their way up. And you are faced with this massive, seemingly library. You see that books are for a time were being neatly placed to the side when they proved to not be useful, and now there are just piles of books that have clearly been thrown across the room when they have found to not be helpful enough. One of them, you see a massive pile of books, and just sticking out of it, you see the arm of one of the hunters of the Votai that is just clearly broken at the elbow, that just read a book, threw it, killed the hunter, threw it on the same pile, read another book, threw it on the same pile, without much else. they sort of making their way over, you see this sort of hulking form of Sarat flops down onto a bench, like a padded, really comfortable looking bench. You get the feeling that this place maybe was prepared to take visitors when the Reliquary was active. The bench's legs have all snapped off, and so it is now like a floor cushion, and Sarat just kind of flops down onto it, kind of propping themselves up on the hammer. They reach over and they just have a glass vase, like for flowers, that they drink water out of and put down next to them, and are seemingly just waiting for you all to talk.
So, Sarat, seems like we got, two problems in my mind. And that's an immediate issue, and it's a more long-term issue. The immediate issue is you're about to fall the fuck asleep. And we see that. And we got a solution to that. And that leads us into problem number 2, which is every second of every day, there's something in your brain trying to take you over. We get that. So those things go together.
I've never had to fall asleep in my life.
Yeah.
Never. Did you kill my friends?
Mm-mm. No, they're fine. Yeah.
And they are going to make an insight check. All they got was like a really forced sounding sending.
Fair. Yeah, no, they're alive.
Wow, goddamn. Nicole, I just, through the transitive property, rolled a nat 20 for Sarat again. You say this, and Sarat nods, and your seemingly, like, very earnest, Harold's, like, down-home persona pays off a little, and they go, all right, what's the plan, if you have one?
So, we got a plan, don't you worry. That's what the two problems we solve at the same time. There's a tunnel, and I point, like, towards a window. There's probably some over there. I'm like, it's over that way. When you get close to it, the song gets incredibly strong. Strong enough that it blew out eardrums. That is where the song is coming from. So our idea is, we use our friend back here, that's Beej. Beej uses silence for us. We stay in the silence orb, and we walk straight through.
A cartoon blown kiss flies across the...
Just let it get you. It'll make you feel better. So we get through the tunnel. We find the source of the music. We kill the shit out of it. And then, no more mind control. We pull that away from you. You do not become a husk of a person. Win-win, because you can come with us. There's no risk of falling asleep if you're in the middle of combat, am I right?
They squint a little, kind of eyes flitting from each of you. And you see a real fight. You see a deep hope that what you are saying is true, tempered by a deep cynicism about the offer. And what's in it for all of you exactly?
We get to be done with this absolute garbage trash shithole of a dungeon that we never have to see again.
From the ether, you hear, "Hey."
I've been knocked unconscious.
Somebody worked hard on this dungeon.
5 times. I've been knocked unconscious so hard.
From the
I
ether,
need to be
from
done.
the ether.
It's kind of messed up.
So what we've been doing is getting the weapons so we can get rid of them so nobody gets possessed anymore. What's in it for us is we get to be done. We're out of here, alive.
Being done sounds good. And I will ask, Nicole, would Sarat be moved by this argument? No, she kills them all!
No! No, she fights. I think that every book has probably been read at least twice. Delusion. And I think maybe with the hope that her friends would see a better world in some way, would help her to move forward, even if she can't fulfill, she doesn't have a lot of hope for that. The only thing she can do is try. Like, there's really nothing else to do for her.
So you all see Sarat kind of looks to each of you and towards the door, kind of evaluating your plan, and then looks at the handle of this giant hammer, and their hand just tightens around the handle as they stand, and you finally see this thing just lift off the ground, and it you feel the air, and you actually feel like the ground shift as it picks up onto their shoulder, and they go, "Worth as much as anything I've found," and starts to make their way over to the door, heading down the steps. Thundering footsteps. You see a book falls off of one of the shelves, slamming down onto the ground.
Wait, let me go up first.
What?
Harold runs out
What?
and is like, guys, don't shoot. It's all good. Sarat is good. Coming with us. Don't blow him up. And I look up at the archway and I'm like, please, it's all good.
There's
And then
definitely lots
gesture.
of books. Yeah.
Orax
There's
is
definitely-
hands are extended, and you see arcane runes have been traced in the sky up there, and they oh, and this sun is beginning to emerge, dissipates into smoke. Their prepared action. That spell slot's burnt for the day.
Oh.
All right, come on.
You watch as Sarat makes their way out through the door. They take a few steps, and a couple of the mages really do sort of lean back. And now in sort of the brighter light that fills the reliquary, you can see, again, everybody can see the deeply unnatural state of their physicality and this just hulking hammer that they have across their back, which for all the world looks like a stone that somebody managed to patiently whittle a hole through, stick a piece of wood through, split the top with another piece of wood, and make a mallet out of a boulder somewhere. It is truly perhaps the most simplistic of all of the weapons. Certainly visually, you would assume it might even be the oldest. It might predate the other two. There's no metal on it.
I look for. Is it Callan Is that the name of the cleric?
Yeah, good pull.
Yeah, Callan. I look around for him and I try and make eye contact, and then I gesture back at Sarat, and I'm like, just think about a way to maybe restore when we get out of just the physical nature of a normal person. As we're walking back, I'm gesturing to them just think about.
Yeah, as you guys kind of continue to move, other people making their way out, you see that pretty quickly a couple of mages of Remgastelon enter the tower. A few minutes later, as you assume Orax Soldan makes their way up to the library section, they go, "Oh god, the spines!" You just hear echo out into the space as they see these just piles of stacked books. You make your way over, and Callan kind of falls into step and starts to, I imagine a little uncomfortably for Sarat, just move from shoulder to shoulder, touching at the arms and the shoulders, kind of investigating, taking a look at what is going on with Sarat's sort of large form in this space, trying to kind of keep up with what you're saying. And I will see really quickly, let's just take a moment. I don't think so. Is there any spell that a pretty high level cleric could cast to put the kibosh on some exhaustion? I don't think so.
No, mostly what I was hoping for was a restoration spell after we get out of this to make Sarat normal again instead of a massively deformed beast.
It's like a permanent alter self.
Oh yeah, so they sort of pull you aside. Harold actually not wanting to sort of immediately divulge this to what they know is a very sensitive emotionally figure in Sarat, and goes, there are a few things I can do for your friend. If they survive this, the most straightforward, if I could reincarnate them in a new body. It's rare that people will risk it, but it's been done before. If somebody suffers too severe of an injury or multiple spells like great clerical works, like regrowth, no longer become reasonable. You can't. It takes too much time to regrow multiple limbs, eyes, and other things, and so sometimes it is easier to give them a painless poison and then reincarnate them, and they will be born in a new body will form. There's no guarantee that it is identical. Is the sort of snafu there.
Yeah.
Like, it might be. It'll be similar. Only like once did they come back as a Birdman. Like one time, the person came back as a big
There are
Birdman.
benefits to being a bird.
They
man.
could
Yeah, you fly.
Also
Yeah.
had to figure out sort of what laying eggs was like, which they
Eating
didn't.
worms.
They didn't love, but you know.
Yeah.
So that's maybe the most straightforward. Beyond that, a series of regrowth spells over the course of a few weeks would be able to perhaps restore them.
As long as there's a way out, I'm pretty happy with that, because I don't think Surratt wants to be stuck like that. The stretch marks are looking pretty brutal. So
At least uncomfortable.
Surratt doesn't think that Surratt is making it, by the way.
Surratt's making
I gathered. I tried to play Surratt as being like, I might as well kill something while I go down, while they sort of gripped the hammer. At least that is the goal. Yeah, you see
and
that.
Harold's thinking, what's next year going to be like for Surratt?
What's
I
the-
need to make sure Surratt's set up right.
Harold's got a notebook out and is writing like a 5-year plan list for Surratt.
Okay, so we
Harold's
get outta
like
here.
ready to go. Yeah, you do see that there are places where it's not even stretch marks, it's like splits, like areas where the skin has just ruptured across musculature. And you all begin to make your way down towards the bottom, coming off a little slice of what this looks like, and then we're probably going to wrap it up here and pick up next week in a minute. But so what does the prep for the record, almost certainly the final push into the Reliquary before you are done here for the foreseeable future, look like?
While we're walking, hey, thoughts on something. What would happen if somebody else touched the hammer while it's trying to possess another person, you think?
I think that it would try to go for the new person to see if they were a weaker link, and then they would be possessed, and the other person would probably be freed because there'd be no need. So, sacrifice play, sure, it would probably
Maybe.
free Surratt. That's
Is
my
that-
guess.
But in terms of like a vessel, wouldn't it choose to stay with Surratt? Because, I mean, it's only a matter of time, first of all, I feel like. And also, the vessel is already like at full form at this point.
The
So-
bigger problem is Surratt could kill herself. We're whispering this, and Surratt's back a little ways. Surratt could kill herself, and then they're back to square one. There's no
I
more
don't know
possession.
if she could.
I think Surratt could kill herself.
Um,
And
No,
so
it's a
I
it would be a
feel-
safer bet to go to somebody who just fails.
I don't think it would let her do that.
I'm gonna say
Otherwise, she wouldn't
because
have held
the-
onto the hammer.
I kind of keep this true throughout here. When I GM in general, when people kind of like dart throw really well, I tend to try to honor it. Beige has not been exposed to the song very much, but Beige has watched other people fall to it quite a bit, including Harold a few times now. Beige is correct. The degree to which whatever is living inside the hammer, Tagor, can take control of Surratt is like limited. But there are moments where they can like reach out and grab the controls for a second. And so if they were to try to do something like that, it would be more dangerous because you would risk a moment where they would be kind of forced into action. And might push to see if they can seize control. It would be an opportunity. It's like there's no guarantee. The real question is, you know that there are vessels that are more perfectly suited to the weapons. Some of them have been physically made. You've watched some of them being constructed. Spencer behind the scenes has a long-term theory that he is one of them. So if another normal person that's not one of the like vessels touches the hammer, then probably it wouldn't jump to them. Beige is probably right, because it is so close to having Surratt. Why go to a normal person? If one of the vessels touches it, it will probably jump. Because just the opportunity to be truly at the peak of power would be well worth the risk. I'll be very candid.
Which would be way worse, because then that's like 10 times worse than what we're dealing with now.
I'll be very open mechanically. Surratt's strength is currently a 26. A vessel of Brightfall would have a strength of 30. Would be at the limit of mortal might in the world. Like, they would just immediately jump to that. So there would definitely be incentive. And this is all happening in this hushed conversation. And you all just get the sense that Beige is starting to, like, maybe it's funny, the musician is starting to really understand the power of the song and how it works.
Makes sense.
So don't touch the hammer. Because there's a chance it jumps. There's also a chance it doesn't.
You could touch the hammer, but chances are Surratt would just kill you. Not on purpose, but like the thing would just kill you. I mean, if you touch the hammer, you're not going to be able to wrestle it from Surratt. There's no way. So the chances that if I, Beach, were to touch the hammer, which I could do, if I tried to wrestle that from her hand, it would jump to me. I probably would just die. It looks at me, and as hot and sexy as I am, it wouldn't want me. So
No, that's not. I was thinking maybe if everyone touches the hammer, everyone gets a little piece crazy, and it lessens it for everyone too.
Lemon just watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. It's like, so...
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance we touch it and we're fine. There's a chance one of us touches it and it jumps to us. There's a chance none of that happens because we don't really know how these things work.
here's the thing. If I touch it, if Lemon touches it, probably nothing. Probably just maybe, Surratt would kill us. If you touch it, don't go near that thing.
Is it because I have a big hammer on my back?
Don't go near it.
You would assume that I would get possessed because I happen to be
Everybody
carrying a
looks
big
at
hammer?
Harold, who has an incredibly high athletics, is a strength-built paladin in heavy armor with a two-handed hammer, and is like, you guys are making assumptions.
Yeah, that's crazy. No,
We
but
think
for
you
real.
might be a spy placed by the Emerald.
You're looking tasty today.
It's just dangerous no matter what. Because say you do touch it and it instantly eviscerates you. That's still a win for the Vemeral. If it's super intelligent, it would probably want to do that. So you get instantly burned away, and then Surratt picks it back up, or is still holding it. So it jumps to you, kills you, jumps back to him, or back to her. Like it's pretty bad no matter what. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, Surratt, how's it going? I call back. You doing good?
Surratt has just gotten across the bridge. You see that mages keep having to, 10 at a time fly under the stone bridge and brace it. Surratt slowly makes their way across so that it doesn't collapse as they continue to move. And at this point, you guys have made your way down towards the tunnel. You are keeping a safe distance as Harold. The song is kind of endlessly echoing out of it, sort of always drifting. It's only flared once or twice. It doesn't seem to be able to flare kind of infinitely. But you are needing to stay back because you feel like a little fog leaning over. You start to see quick flashes, Harold, of more memories, of more moments that you swear you hear the song in them, kind of affecting maybe either the memory as it happened or truthfully, and Hilver too. Lemon and Beach have gone kind of untouched by the song, but Hilver, you're experiencing it just not as pallid, not as I can't remember the word I was looking for, not as
Palatable.
clearly as Harold is, Hilver, but every now and again, you'll drift into it a little bit and then have to snap yourself out as it sort of ekes away at the corner.
While we walk, I would like to have Beach will be singing, quietly, I think, or maybe rather loudly, to Harold, maybe one of, their favorite songs from, ye olden days, something that always cheers Harold up, something like that. Or, just something that will kind of
Yeah.
keep him here and sort of drown out any sort of sound
And
as best as possible.
And mechanically, we can call that a counter charm because you are a bard. So you start to like
That's great.
weave a counter charm, which is, I think, still one of the like big bard features. And Harold, you do start to hear as Beej is singing, and Beej, you start like modulating the key of your songs to clash with what you are hearing out of the tunnel. And Harold, it does take a good bit of the weight off of what you are feeling and the sort of static that starts to fade in from what you are hearing as you get a little bit closer and a little bit closer. As you all approach the door and Beej gets ready to cast silence, does anybody have any last minute prep that they need to do?
Harold like adjusts the ever-burning green torch so it's facing out properly, gets the hammer out, and assumes a position right at the front of the group. And that's it for Harold.
I'd like to do two things. I'm casting magic weapon on myself.
Great,
On
yeah.
my gun.
Your gun starts
I'll mark
to
that.
glow.
And we're pretty close to the music at this point, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do this actually.
I will say,
Uh,
at the same time, Callan steps forward and goes up to Sarat and goes, "It is a small thing, but perhaps it will help," and holds their holy symbol to this forgotten god to Sarat and casts Death Ward. So the next time Sarat goes to fully die, they will go to 1 HP instead.
Stopping the unconsciousness from hitting is huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, I don't think I can do it yet.
What's your
I'll
master
still try.
plan?
Yeah, what were
I
you
need
trying to
10
do?
minutes for it, but I want ritual cast identify.
On
And
what?
I know it says touch an object, but like music might be like almost feeling now. I want to identify the music.
Oh, the song?
Ooh.
Yeah. I know that's a little.
You can-
not
Now,
quite
I
right.
will say, it's vibrational.
That's true. I will
If
say,
you put your hands down on the ground.
if the magic, I cannot in fairness say, listen, if the song is strong enough to morph people into abominations, I certainly think it is real enough for you to cast Identify on. I am going to say there will be an Arcana check attached to see
That's
if you
fair.
can successfully pull off the maneuver. So it's going to be sort of levels. If you get above a 15, you'll get some. If you get above a 20, fantastic. If you get above a 25, unbelievable.
Do I have any help
I
on
will-
this?
I'll give
I
you
will
guidance.
give you. Okay.
What's guidance give me?
An
D4.
additional D4.
And Hilver, you could also
Okay.
give just the help action.
Yeah, I'll like, I guess, like relate like the experience to Lemon of like how it felt when I got like the one takeover from it.
Yeah, so you sort of just
And-
intimate
and
what
how
it
it's
feels
kind of
like,
like-
to make contact in that way.
Mhm.
Is there any chance I can get bardic inspiration on it?
That'd be huge.
That's me.
Uh,
Probably.
if
You got
if
it.
you're willing to spare one.
steps forward. He pulls out a drum.
Yes. I do have a question first.
Yeah.
I don't think this is possible just because of, you know. I would really love more than anything to cast silence
Mhm.
and then cast invisibility, which I know. So I know
Yeah.
I can't cast invisibility and then silence.
All that really matters is is silence a concentration spell?
Yeah.
So you
Invisibility
can't have
sure
both
is.
running at the same
Can't
time.
do both at the same time. Okay, never mind. Then yes, you can have it.
There's
It's all yours.
there's a group of incredibly potent magic items in D&D that let you do that, but none of those have come up in the campaign just yet.
How much is your bardic inspiration?
It is 1d8.
Wow. So D8, D4,
You-
and advantage.
I appreciate the help. All right. I needed none of it. That first one, a 20.
You're kidding
A
me.
That's
nat
one.
20.
Nat 20.
What's your
Oh,
bonus?
wow.
Well, What's your bonus to Arcana, though?
-2.
All right, so do roll those
Okay.
other dice because skill checks
Yeah.
don't auto crit in that way.
Yeah,
so
that's
see if
fair.
you can break
I
that
just think that's
25.
funny.
It is really funny. So 20
just
minus
gonna-
2, 18.
Second roll was a 10, so
So you're at an 18.
Yeah, fair enough.
18. All right, that is a 3 plus 6, so a 9, so 18, so
27.
27.
Okay.
Yay!
So a couple of things happen in really rapid succession. All right. So as you reach out and you make contact with this song, everybody watches something a little unnerving as Lemon sort of reaches out a hand, because you do find yourself sort of reflexively wanting to grab something. You all watch as Lemon's hand begins to curl into a fist, as Hilver, Beige, and Harold are all kind of magically empowering Lemon in this moment to try to identify. Over 10 minutes, everybody is watching you all sort of like channel quite a bit of energy into this. And you all watch as Lemon's hand begins to close. The air in their hand begins to wave like heat waves raising off of pavement as they continue to squeeze. Finally, their hand closes and you can see what looks like some barely visible vibrating something in their hand. And the song actually starts to get louder and clearer, like a little bubble around Lemon as their fist clenches. First thing I need you to do, Lemon, is make a wisdom saving throw.
Okay.
And I will just escort Harold and Sarat away from this. I'm like, okay, guys, let's get give them some distance.
All right, wisdom saving throw. Am I close enough to Spencer to get the aura?
Oh, I shouldn't.
I'm gonna give you a trade. Harold would need to stay close enough to be at risk.
Now then.
Okay.
Be just singing as loud as possible.
Beige cupping their hand over Harold's ear, just singing as loud as they can.
Harold's like, let me get to him. He needs my help. I can tell. Let me go.
Stand back. That is a
Lemon,
15
take one for
plus
the team.
0, so a 15.
15 plus 0 is a success. Lemon, you feel your mind slipping to the past, to your own memories, but you manage to shake it off, identical to what Harold and Hilver responded to, but you don't quite connect, and you feel you tether yourself to this song for just a moment. You attune yourself, and you feel rapidly a presence, large, beyond scope, beyond imagining. You feel yourself like a fly that has tethered itself to a woolly mammoth, this impossibly massive consciousness that breaks the edges of your vision and fills an extra dimensional space that you will never see and would have no air for you to breathe if you were to get there. You feel something singing the song. This song is being parroted by these creatures that you've heard and by the Bastilles, but you are connecting to what is singing it now and has always sung it and maybe will always sing it, as you connect yourself directly to the piper. And you feel, and it's very good that you succeeded on your wisdom saving throw, you feel like a single tendril of an impossibly tentacled monster reaching out slowly to touch your soul back. And you have enough time before it reaches you to get some information about what is happening here. First, you feel the presence of the Vemeral. You feel all three of them here with you now. They are here with this thing, part of this song, impossibly loud, and you hear the echoes of others who have died, who are no longer in the world of the living, who are here, adding to the many voices that join this one impossibly massive one. And you hear a mass of them, bound together, singing in perfect harmony. And unlike this unknowable and difficult to comprehend creature, they sound familiar. And even though it does not pull you into your memories, Lemon, you may have heard the tune before, right? I've described that a couple of times. It feels kind of familiar to you. You have heard this chorus beneath the main singer. You have heard them before in your life without any uncertainty of the cloud of charisma and potential enchantment that took Harold or Hilver's mind. Lemon, you've heard them before, which must be impossible but is still true. What information is Lemon with over a 25? What information is Lemon looking for here besides what I have already said?
Lemon doesn't know. Mostly the info.
Michael's
he'd be
like,
looking
I
for.
really didn't think I would get over a 25. Can we take another 10-minute break?
No, the main things he'd be, if he knows he's heard it, he would try and think. He would try his best to think back to when he heard it.
Okay.
And then he would try and hear if there are lyrics in it.
Lemon, you start to gaze back into the familiar space of the song, looking into your own memories, and you are suddenly awash in an ocean of your own life. You see countless small but important moments that have turned your life in the direction that it has gone. You see yourself as a very young boy growing up in Glint's Wake, and it's just something small. You remember one of the early days when adventuring as a concept, as something to do, started to inspire you. And it's just a half-faded memory at this point of people talking about the important work of doctors and like nurses and clerics, community members, and then of adventuring and of going out and questing. And suddenly you remember that day you heard the song and adventuring sounded just right. It just sounded right to you. And we cut, and Lemon's a little older. And now Lemon is trying to decide if they want to be an adventurer. What's ahead of them? Like, what should they do to be a part of that? And you're talking to people who fight with swords and shields. You're maybe starting to apprentice under somebody who fights with this, like, big Zweihander, like this big two-hander greatsword. And then your eyes cast across the space to a bow and some pistols out on a rack. And over in the corner, their door to a tavern is open, and the song fades through. And in that moment, you just know. You know that the bow and that the pistol is the right pick. You know that you could learn that, and that would make you great. And we cut ahead a little further. Lemon is a teenager. People are calling him Lemon for the first time. He's wondering if he should just focus on being helpful to the community, on focus on, like you said, he teaches common sign language to the kids. Should he just focus on that? And again, you hear the song, and no, you can't give up on the promise of what you might find. And Lemon, again and again and again and again in your life, when you would have turned away from adventuring, when you would have turned down Harold's offer to come along, when you maybe would have had just that last minute refusal, that thought, I shouldn't go, this is so dangerous, I should just be helping my people, again and again and again. That song plays at just the right moment, and it guides you like air, like winds whipping through trees, keeping an arrow firing in a straight and perfect path that has taken you through your entire life here. And Lemon, you get the feeling that this chorus has been guiding you here for your entire life. And if there has ever been a vessel born for Perona Vane, the greatest shot of the Vemeral and maybe of the Primacy's history, if there was ever someone who could take that up, it's Lemon. And you get the sense that you have been guided here over many long years? And that is the answer to your question. And that is where we are going to pick up next week. Thank you all so much for watching The Party Makes Things Worse, Song of the Reliquary. You are certainly watching one of the final episodes. I think there's between 2 or 3 left as we delve into the very, very stomach of the Reliquary. I certainly didn't think that a extremely proficient and carefully placed identify spell would be the thing that sort of gave us some of this information, but that is the beauty and wonder of tabletop role-playing games. Thank you all so much.
Beach is sort of feeling like, oh, sorry. Beach is sort of feeling like I didn't get invited to the party, even though I did want to go. I didn't get an invite. It's like I feel a little bit left out.
Yeah, no songs.
Like I didn't. Nobody's been like trading me up my whole life. So it's like even though I didn't want to go.
Can I give you a small piece of advice? Fail more wisdom saves.
Yeah.
Just fail more wisdom saves. If you just fail more wisdom saves, maybe you'll hear about some cool scenes from your own backstory of you being guided here across the ages.
I'm too goated.
Who can say?
Too goated.
Who can say? Thank you all so much for watching. We will catch you on the next episode of The Party Makes Things Worse. See y'all later. Peace out.